Okay, so you guys, you're clearly obsessed with chicken cutlets. You sent a ton of recipes and articles our way. So
Huh.
we're going to dive deep into all your research, try to unlock the secrets,
Mm-hmm.
see what makes them so exceptional. We're talking crispy, we're talking juicy, flavorful
Yeah.
chicken cutlets that go way beyond like, your basic weeknight dinner.
And it's interesting, we all think we know the chicken cutlet, right? Thin, breaded, perfectly fried.
Right,
But
right.
there's so much more to it than meets the eye, a whole world of technique and flavor.
Yeah, for sure. And looking at all these recipes you guys sent in, there's everything. Classic Italian-style breading, air-fried versions.
Mhm.
We've even got almond-crusted za'atar-spiced cutlets.
Wow.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's just start with the basics. What exactly ISA a chicken cutlet?
Well, at its heart, it's a thin slice of boneless, skinless chicken breast.
Okay,
And that thinness is really key. It allows for quick and even cooking, which is perfect when you don't have a lot of time.
totally. Perfect for a busy weeknight. But, I've always struggled with getting that perfect, even thinness.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm always either pounding it way too much or not enough. Is there a secret?
A meat mallet, that's your best friend here. And the key is to aim for an even thickness,
Okay.
about a quarter of an inch. This helps with cooking, obviously,
Yeah.
but it also makes sure the breading sticks properly and cooks evenly.
Ah, okay, so that's how you avoid those unevenly cooked cutlets. Got it. I've also noticed that a lot of the recipes really emphasize that perfect crispiness.
Right.
What are some of the techniques we can use to get that?
It all starts with understanding the science behind breading.
I can
It's not just coating the chicken in breadcrumbs, it's a three-step
Hmm.
process. Think of it like a spa treatment for your chicken.
A spa treatment. Okay, now I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So first, you dredge the chicken in flour, creates a dry surface for the next layer.
Hmm.
Think of it as like a primer.
Okay, like prepping the canvas, right?
Yeah.
Before the masterpiece.
Exactly. Then you dip the flour chicken into a beaten egg, which acts as the glue, binds the breadcrumbs.
Right, the egg holds everything together.
Exactly. And finally, you coat the chicken in breadcrumbs, pressing gently to make sure every bit is covered.
Yep.
This step is crucial for getting that nice crunchy crust.
So that's how you avoid the bald spots,
Yeah.
where you can see the chicken peeking through.
Exactly. Exactly. And don't forget to chill the breaded cutlets
Oh, yeah.
for about 30 minutes before you cook them. This lets the flour hydrate, creates a stronger bond, and you'll end up with a much more robust breading.
That's a great tip. I always wondered why recipes called for chilling.
It makes all the difference.
Now it makes sense. Okay, so let's talk frying. You sent recipes for both, like traditional frying and then also air frying.
Mm-hmm.
What are the pros and cons of each?
Traditional frying using good quality extra virgin olive oil, it gives you that classic crispy texture, that golden brown color.
Yeah.
Key is to fry in small batches, make sure each cutlet has enough space to crisp up. If you overcrowd the pan, the temperature of the oil drops, and then you end up with soggy cutlets.
Gotcha. So overcrowding is a big no-no.
Exactly. Got to give them room to breathe.
So what about air frying?
Air fryers are a fantastic alternative, especially if you're looking for something a little healthier.
Mm-hmm.
They circulate hot air around the food, gives you that crispy texture we all love, but you don't have to submerge them in oil.
So I can get that crunch without all the guilt.
Exactly. And air fryers are so versatile, you can use them for way more than just chicken cutlets.
I love that. Speaking of versatility, let's talk about all the different flavors we can create.
Yeah.
I'm seeing classic Italian breading, but then also more adventurous things like za'atar, almond crusts.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of your favorite flavor combinations?
Well, one that comes to mind is like a twist on chicken Parmesan, but with a Southwestern flair.
Oh, interesting.
So instead of using a traditional tomato sauce, I'll roast poblano peppers, make a sauce, add a little cumin and lime for brightness.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. I love that.
Yeah.
What about using different proteins? Can we apply all this to other meats as well?
Oh, absolutely. There's no need to limit yourself to just chicken.
Okay.
You can get a similar texture and flavor with pork, veal, even fish.
Right.
The key is to adjust the cooking time based on the thickness and type of protein.
So we could have like a pork Milanese or like a cod cutlet using these techniques.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless, and that's what makes cooking with cutlets so fun.
I love that. Okay, this is opening up a whole new world. Culinary possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
I have to ask, what about sauces? What are some go-to sauces that go well with all of this?
Well, again, the possibilities are endless. A classic honey mustard is always a winner. And a creamy dill sauce is nice and elegant.
Mm.
Or if you want something a little more adventurous, you could try a spicy sriracha mayo or a tangy lemon herb vinaigrette.
Okay, my taste buds are officially tantalized. But before we get totally carried away with all this deliciousness, I want to circle back to the health-conscious options. We talked about air frying, but are there other ways to lighten things up?
Sure, you can swap out mayonnaise for Greek yogurt in the breading.
Oh, interesting.
That's a great way to add moisture and protein, but cut down on fat. You can also experiment with different breadcrumbs, panko, whole wheat, even almond flour for a gluten-free option.
I love all these tips. It's inspiring to see how we can make healthier choices.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have a question that's been on my mind this whole time.
Okay.
What's the biggest mistake people make when cooking chicken cutlets?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think the most common mistake is not properly pounding the chicken to an even thickness.
Okay.
Might seem minor, but it has a huge impact on the final result.
So like those unevenly cooked cutlets I've made in the past, that's where I went wrong.
It's very likely. When you have different thicknesses, some parts cook faster and you end up with some parts dry, some undercooked. Pounding them evenly ensures everything cooks at the same rate. Nice and juicy, tender cutlet.
Okay, even thickness is key. Any other common mistakes?
Another one is overcrowding the pan when frying.
Right.
We touched on that before, but it's really important. When you put too many cutlets in, the oil temperature drops, increases cooking time, the cutlets absorb more oil.
So you get soggy cutlets, Andy. They're greasier.
Exactly. Fry in small batches, give each cutlet space to breathe and crisp up.
Patience is key. Now, I know we talked about frying and air frying, but what about baking? Is that a good option?
Oh, for sure. Baking is a great way to get that crispy goodness, but with less fat.
Okay.
And you can still achieve that golden brown crust.
I've tried baking them before, but they always turned out kind of dry. Any secrets to keeping them moist?
A few things can help. First, make sure your oven's preheated to the right temperature, usually around 400 degrees.
Okay.
Second, don't overbake them. Keep a close eye. Use a meat thermometer to make sure they hit 165 degrees internally. And last, consider adding a touch of moisture to the baking sheet. You can brush them with olive oil or put a few pats of butter on top.
Great tips. I'm going to try baking them again for sure. You mentioned serving with different sauces earlier.
Yeah.
Are there any classic pairings that you really enjoy?
Oh, there are so many great combinations. One of my favorites is a simple piccata sauce. It's tangy, buttery, lemon juice, and capers really brighten up the chicken.
Piccata sauce. I love it. I'm a sucker for lemon and capers. So good. What about side dishes? What goes well with chicken cutlets?
Well, it depends what you're going for. Classic Italian, you can't go wrong with spaghetti aglio e olio or a caprese salad. If you want something more Mediterranean, try couscous salad or roasted vegetables. Zucchini, eggplant, something like that.
Those all sound amazing. And of course, we can't forget the classic chicken cutlet sandwich.
The possibilities are endless there.
Yeah.
Classic chicken parm, spicy buffalo chicken sandwich.
Right.
Or even something lighter with grilled chicken, avocado, arugula.
Oh, yeah. I love it. My mouth is watering thinking about all this.
Good.
But before we wrap up, I want to go back to something you said earlier about using different proteins for cutlets. I'm thinking like a crispy coconut shrimp cutlet with mango salsa.
That's a great idea. I love that, thinking outside the box.
Right.
And don't forget about vegetarian options.
Right.
Eggplant, tofu, even portobello mushrooms can all be used to make delicious cutlets.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
Yeah.
I'm feeling so inspired, ready to experiment with all sorts of flavors and proteins.
Good.
But before we say goodbye, I have one final question for you.
Yeah, go ahead. If you could give our listeners like just one piece of advice, one golden nugget to up their chicken cutlet game, what would it be?
Ooh, good question.
I'd say don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
Chicken cutlets are so versatile, there's no right or wrong way to do it, really.
Right.
Try different seasonings, breading, sauces, cooking methods. Just have fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's easy to get stuck following recipes exactly, but sometimes the best stuff comes from just, like, letting loose a little.
Totally. And even if it doesn't turn out perfect the first time,
Yeah.
you learn something, and that's what cooking is all about.
So true. I feel like we've covered so much today, everything about chicken cutlets, from the basics to some pretty advanced stuff, flavor variations, healthy alternatives.
Yeah.
I'm inspired. I'm ready to get in the kitchen.
Awesome. That's what I like to hear. It's always fun to share my love of cooking.
And to you, our listener. We hope this deep dive has given you a whole new appreciation for chicken cutlets.
Yeah.
Encouraged you to get creative in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, cooking should be joyful. So embrace your creativity, have fun.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn.
Exactly. What unique flavor combinations or toppings are you going to use to create your ultimate chicken cutlet masterpiece?
Yeah.
We want to hear about it.
Yeah, definitely. And be sure to join us next time for another deep dive. We'll be exploring a whole new topic,
Can't wait.
uncovering even more culinary secrets.
Until then, happy cooking, everyone.
So, what's on your mind?
Okay, so we've talked about all these amazing techniques and tips for chicken cutlets, but what about those times when, things don't go exactly as planned? Like, what are some common chicken cutlet fails, and how can we fix them?
That's a good one. I think one of the most common issues is ending up with soggy breading.
Oh, yeah, the dreaded soggy cutlet. Nobody wants that.
Right. So a couple of things could be happening there. First, make sure your oil is hot enough before you start frying. If it's not hot enough, the cutlets will sit in the oil too long and absorb too much of it, making them soggy.
Makes sense. So how hot should the oil be?
You're aiming for around 350 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Use a thermometer to be sure.
Okay, thermometer, check. What else?
And like we talked about earlier, don't overcrowd the pan. Give those cutlets space to breathe and crisp up properly.
Right. No overcrowding. Anything else I should watch out for?
Another thing that can cause soggy breading is not patting the chicken dry enough before you start breading it. Excess moisture on the surface can create steam, which will make the breading soggy.
So make sure they're nice and dry before the spa treatment.
Exactly. Pat them dry with a paper towel and you'll be good to go. Now, another common problem is the breading falling off during cooking.
Oh, yeah. That's always frustrating. You put all that effort into breading them, and then it just ends up in the pan.
I know, right? A couple of things can help with that. First, make sure you're using enough egg. The egg acts as a glue to hold the breading in place, so if you're skimping on it, the breading might not stick as well.
Okay, so don't be shy with the egg wash.
Exactly. And make sure you're pressing the breadcrumbs firmly onto the chicken. You want them to really adhere to the surface.
Gotta press those breadcrumbs in. Any other tips for keeping that breading intact?
Chilling the breaded cutlets before cooking can also help. It gives the breading time to set, which makes it less likely to fall off.
So that chilling step is really a multitasker.
It really is. It helps with crispiness, prevents sogginess, and keeps that breading where it belongs. Now let's talk about another issue some people encounter. Dry chicken.
Oh, yeah. Nobody wants a dry, chewy cutlet.
Nope, not at all. The key to preventing that is to not overcook them. Chicken cutlets cook quickly, especially since they're so thin.
So how do you know when they're done?
The best way is to use a meat thermometer. They should be cooked to an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And remember, they'll continue to cook a little bit even after you take them off the heat. So it's better to err on the side of slightly undercooked than overcooked.
Okay, so meat thermometer is my friend. Got it. Any other tips for keeping those cutlets juicy and tender?
Brining the chicken before breading can also help. It's an extra step, but it can make a big difference in the final result.
I've never tried brining chicken cutlets before. What does that involve?
It's pretty simple. You basically soak the chicken in a saltwater solution for about 30 minutes to an hour. This helps the chicken retain moisture, resulting in a juicier cutlet.
Interesting. I'll have to give that a try. So we've covered a lot of ground today, from the basics of breading and frying to some more advanced techniques and troubleshooting tips.
We have. It's been a deep dive into the world of chicken cutlets, for sure.
It really has, and I think we've armed our listeners with everything they need to conquer this culinary challenge. So as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just that I encourage everyone to have fun with it. Don't be afraid to get creative, try new flavors, and experiment with different techniques. And remember, even if it doesn't turn out perfect every time, the journey is just as important as the destination.
So well said. Cooking is all about the journey, the experimentation, the joy of creating something delicious. And to you, our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the wonderful world of chicken cutlets. We hope you've gleaned some valuable insights and inspiration to elevate your own culinary creations. And remember, don't be afraid to share your chicken cutlet triumphs and even your learning experiences with us. We're all in this culinary adventure together.
Absolutely. So until next time, happy cooking.
Happy cooking, everyone.